All right, so this is the second part of the series. So we're just going to do a quick recap. I only play a short portion of the video just to refresh everyone's memory. So we'll play this and then we're going to get into the actual structure we've got, starting with the people.
People are killing themselves. None of this has to do with health. What health has to do with is exercise, fruit in the sun, not injections. Okay? Mental health affects this well. You're locking us indoors. People are killing themselves. It's not to do with health. I don't have time to get that debate, man. I know, because you're patient. Doesn't matter what I say, because you'll get there at the end of the day. You've got guns. At the end of the day, I agree with you. Then why are you standing on this side and not with us? That's what I get.
I'll just leave it there. Things gone a bit nuts. At the end of the day, that's what I get paid to do, is what he was about to say. So let's get back into get you out of the way, and get you out of the way. And here we go. And let's get back into that hierarchy that we finished off on, which was this. As you can see, it's got the people are equal to the head of state. So the rule of law, no one is above the law, right? So one of the things I remember about Malcolm Turnbull is he'd always say, you know, we must have the rule of law. But he never went and explained what he meant, right? Because I 100% guarantee he wasn't going to explain it this way, what I'm about to explain to you. So you've got the people here, right? There they are. It says they're equal to the head of state. So let's go and see who the people are, right? So you hear this word sovereign being thrown around a lot. So we're going to define that. I'm going to actually put up about 6 different definitions. They all pretty much repeat each other, but they just give a little bit more, what's the word after? A little more depth to the definition, each one of them. So we'll start with the first one. So the people are sovereign, right? So what does it mean to be sovereign? So it's really important that we know what sovereign means. A lot of people, you'll hear them use the word, but very, very few will actually be able to define it clearly. So this is really going to be a really important one for people to understand, because it's at the center of this whole, what's happening today and what's been happening to us for thousands of years. It's our lack of knowledge of this. So the word sovereign is derived from the Latin adverb super, which means above, and the Latin noun regnum, which means rulership or control. So sovereign means one who is above the rulership or control of another, hence not a subject or a slave, right? So you just have a think about what you just saw a moment ago with those armed men in costumes, right? Were they actually showing the people that they are sovereign, or were they showing them that they're slaves who need to be put under control? I'll leave that to you, for you to decide, right? So let's get into excuse me one moment, I'll just bring up the next slide. And let's, oops, bear with me. So this is another definition of sovereign. Sovereign is a monarch. So the word monarch comes from 2 words, mono and archon. So mono means one or soul, and archon is the Greek word for ruler. So it means a sole ruler. So a single ruler who rules only the kingdom of self. That's a really important concept to understand, that we all have our kingdoms and they are of ourselves. So sovereignty is a state where one controls all 3 aspects of one's own consciousness. So remember how I explained, I gave you the slide in the previous one about what consciousness was. So there's 3 aspects to it, the thoughts, emotions, and actions. And if we bring them into alignment, right, where they're all working together in unity, that is how we attain mastery of one's own consciousness. And that is how we become our own masters. Now, the world we've been living in has been given to us to make sure that we never get that alignment, that our thoughts, emotions, and actions are always out of alignment, that we can never be masters of ourselves. That's the whole divide and conquer structure starts internally. And so very few of us can say we've ever been sovereign. That's just how tragic this really is. So now I'm going to bring up another slide, just to give it some extra definition. So this one I'm just going to get rid of, and then I can start reading this one out. Sovereign is an eternal truth that you are sovereign. You can never be non-sovereign. There is no such thing as someone else's legitimate rulership or ownership of you. So most people would say they agree with that, right? But how do we know how to actually action that, right? And how do we know how to really have a sense of that in us? Very few can actually say they do because they can't define it. So hopefully this is going to help you guys get that. So because there is no such thing as a legitimacy of slavery, there never has been and never will be, then we are sovereign as exists in nature. Not that there are not conditions for turning us into slaves, that we can see right now. Like this is the end part of what we've been enduring, and now this has come to the crescendo. So the conditions for slavery exist, but as it exists in nature, there's no such thing. That's what this slide aims to explain. So now I'm going to bring up another one on sovereignty. So as you can see here, let's move that one out of the way. Sovereignty is the positive expression of natural law. It is openness to understanding and accepting the knowledge of natural law, which some would call truth. You know, Mark Passio says that man's biggest fear is the acknowledgement that there is one solitary universal truth, and that would be natural law. You know, and I actually tend to agree with him, because once you accept that there is, then you can actually be free. But that's a story for another time. So true understanding harmonizes one's individuated consciousness with the source energy it stems from. So I'll read that again. True understanding harmonizes one's individuated consciousness with the source energy it stems from. So that is us harmonizing ourselves with how it is that we even come to exist, what conditions we live under. All right, have I got any more sovereignty? Yes, I do. Let me bring up another one. All right, so I'm really hammering this one because it's really important that there's really clear understanding of what it actually is to be sovereign. Sovereignty is true self-ownership, self-mastery, self-control, self-discipline, self-love. Now, if we just stay on that one, right, how many of us can really say we have full self-ownership, that we have full self-control, that we have full self-discipline or self-love? Right? So how can we say we own ourselves, right? You have a look at the whole purpose of advertising, for example. It's to make sure that you don't have any of these experiences, right? That you're always succumbing to the seduction of the allure of something that is going to give you a quick fix, right? There's no self-control there. There's no self-discipline there. There's no self-love, all right? So, you know, and how many of us, you know, we succumb to, like, you know, things like addictions, you know, how is that self-discipline, right? Or that you can, you know, that you have some kind of craving, right? Where did that come from? Well, I actually put that down to disconnection from spirit. That when you're disconnected from spirit, that's when you start getting these, you know, urges to fill your body up with something, some kind of good feeling. Because when you're connected to spirit, time ceases to exist in a linear manner which you know it. Once you have that connection, and luckily I've been lucky enough to know that, so I can actually speak from experience. So sovereignty is in diametric opposition to slavery. As to be sovereign means you are the ruler of yourself through mastery of your own consciousness. So like I said, there's only two choices here, there's sovereignty or slavery. There is no fence to sit on. And this is where we are. We're in the slavery side now. And we've been like that, we just haven't known about it. But now it's right in our faces, right? Those who are willing to see it. And until people can understand these concepts, they're really going to struggle to get out of it. So hopefully this is going to help people's consciousness shift a little. So I'm going to bring up one more, and that should do it for all the, excuse me, I'll just move this one out of the way. For all the sovereignty. So this is who we are as people. We are sovereign. So to be sovereign, one must unify all three aspects of their consciousness, meaning that there is no internal contradiction between one's thoughts, emotions, actions, hence the presence of harmonious coexistence through the alignment of one's inner world and connection to the natural law. So I'll go back to advertising, right? So what does advertising do? I'll use Bacardi rum, for example, right? Bacardi rum, they'll put this imagery up of, you know, all these good times happening. And what the message they're sending you is that if you want to get your needs for connection, for belonging, for fun, for play, for enjoyment met, then you get it through drinking this drink, because that's what brings others to you, right? It's like they're not interested in you. You as you are won't be able to get to that state of euphoria of others, wanting to be around you, because you don't have these capacities, of what a sovereign being is, right? That the only way you can bring that out is to, take this alcoholic drink. That is what will bring that out, right? So you think about how that works, right? That is a manipulation of your needs for that type of connection, and giving you the solution, right? They're giving you the strategy of how to get that need met. That shows how little we are sovereign when we fall into that trap, right? These are traps that are set for us on purpose. So that's been showing us for years how we have not been sovereign. All right, so about 10 minutes is up now. So that's pretty much all I'm going to have time to cover, is the sovereignty, and we'll get into more shortly.